All right, viewers, as you know, it's time to wake up America. We have a jam-packed show for you this week. Rick Donovan is out on assignment, getting some hard work in for our upcoming, some of our upcoming episodes. But this week, we're going to talk about the Royal Canadian Mounted Police arrest, an Ohio bust, the Pirates arrest from the Major League Baseball, Pittsburgh Pirates, Pennsylvania senator being arrested, Ed Buck also arrested, Kevin Spacey's also making the news, more news on Ilhan Omar, and we're also going to have to go to West Bend from, let's say, Mayor Pete Buttigieg area, and we're going to see some information about a West Bend doctor. All that and more on this week's episode of Wake Up America. Let's get right to it.
Mr. Ortiz has been charged for alleged criminal activity under the Criminal Code and the Security of Information Act. The news of his arrest has shaken many people throughout the RCMP, particularly in federal policing, as well as the broader domestic and international security and intelligence communities who worked with Mr. Ortiz. In 2018, the RCMP was supporting an FBI investigation, and through the course of this file, the RCMP uncovered possible internal corruption. We took immediate action and launched an investigation into the alleged activities. Our focus has been to diligently pursue this investigation, which led to the arrest. By virtue of the position he held, Mr. Ortiz had access to information the Canadian intelligence community possessed. He also had access to intelligence originating from our partners, both domestically and internationally. Well, in cooperation with the FBI, we were working on an investigation in 2018. During that investigation, we came across certain documents that led us to believe that there might be some internal corruption. At that point, we got the, Sensitive and International Investigations Unit to work on the case, working through all the possible leads in that investigation, which led us to the arrest of Mr. Ortiz last Thursday. Well, I would definitely imagine that there is concern amongst our Five Eyes community as well as within Canada, but it's so early to tell what the breadth and depth of this investigation. For right now, there's great support from those communities, both in Canada and abroad. And of course, we're concerned as well, but until we know what we're dealing with specifically, our risk assessment is fluid, and the measure of severity of such an event is fluid as well and could change depending on what we find as the investigation furthers.
A massive sting for sex, prostitution, and crimes against children. More than 100 people arrested, and we found a pastor, a doctor, and a firefighter involved. Law enforcement from around the state pitched in to focus on people in Franklin, Delaware, and Fairfield counties. Thanks for joining us at 5. I'm Jerry Revish.
I'm Tracy Townsend. We have team coverage tonight. 10 TV News reporter Brittany Bailey is looking at suspects you may know from your community.
But we begin with Glenn McIntyre, who shows us how this investigation unfolded. Glenn.
Jerry, there are 4 components of this really enormous law enforcement operation. One of them, led by the Franklin County Sheriff's Office, focused on men trying to meet children online for sex. One by one, they were marched in front of a judge.
State of Ohio v. Rick Berman.
24 men over 3 days, all accused of the same crimes.
Unlawful sexual conduct with a minor, count 2, F5 importuning.
And these people are showing up with the intention of meeting a child for sex.
Absolutely, and so we make sure that there is no mistake about that.
Major Stephen Tucker with the Franklin County Sheriff's Office oversaw the sting operation run by the Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force. He says it starts with online chats between the men and who they believe to be underage boys and girls. It's actually an officer posing as a juvenile.
The reality that they were operating in is that there absolutely was a child on the other end of that device, and that's who they were coming to see.
And he says each of these men followed through.
They show up with sex toys, they show up with lubrications, they show up with things that clearly somebody isn't going to come to a house with unless they intended to engage in sexual activity.
This four-part simultaneous operation involved more than 30 law enforcement agencies.
Ohio Attorney General Dave Yost announced the operation today, focused not just on internet predators, but human traffickers and the men who feed the sex trade with their dollars.
Criminals involved in trafficking other human beings prey upon those individuals that are already at risk, subjecting them to prostitution and addiction. Predators seek to harm our children and grandchildren and are not hiding in the bushes. They're lurking on the internet.
Please talk to your children. Please know what they're doing online. Set the rules. Be the parent. Be the parent. Know who they're talking to. You're entitled to ask. In fact, you're entitled to know. The children need to know. You can't trust everybody. Not every adult is trustworthy.
Now, here is a breakdown of those 104 arrests. 24 men were arrested in that online child sex sting. 36 men were arrested for trying to buy sex. 1 man was arrested for promoting prostitution, and 43 women were arrested for selling sex. Those women will be connected to social services, including Franklin County's Catch Court program. We'll have more on that tonight at 6. Reporting live at the Franklin County Courthouse, Glenn McIntyre, 10 TV News.
Thanks, Glenn. The men arrested range in age from their 20s to their 60s and every decade in between. These are the men facing felony charges, some right here in Central Ohio.
10 TV News reporter Brittany Bailey has been looking into the backgrounds of the men involved, and she joins us now.
Former Senator Mike Fulmer's resignation letter, it's effective immediately. He submitted it under heavy pressure from the state's top politicians to step down following his arrest. In a single sentence, Mike Fulmer resigned effective immediately. Republican leaders say they were sickened and disturbed by the charges. Police arrested Fulmer at his Lebanon County home Tuesday after executing a search warrant. Court documents allege investigators found 3 pictures of child pornography on his phone and computer. Can you comment on Senator Fulmer's arrest? Pennsylvania's Attorney General first announced the charges. Speaking at a child abuse conference today in Harrisburg, he referenced Fulmer's arrest.
Every single day when we make these arrests, we pay no attention to the positions of power someone might occupy. We instead pay attention to the children who are being harmed in Pennsylvania.
Fulmer's 48th district seat, which covers Lebanon and parts of York and Dauphin counties, is now vacant. In Harrisburg, Barbara Barr, WGAL News 8.
Yeah, that's always the fine line. What I share with the team is not what I share with the public. But we talked about a lot of different emotions probably were stirred up today in a lot of different places. And how do we connect and support our way through those emotions? How do we continue to find ways to improve and hold ourselves to a high standard on and off the field? And what can we do from an organizational standpoint to help with any questions, any thoughts? We need to communicate together. We've got season left to play, and there'll be seasons left to play for a lot of those men out there, a lot of people that are connected. I think at the end of the day, the fact that we've gone through the storm together, and now how are we going to get on the other side of it together?
Breaking news out of Illinois, where the home of a former South Bend abortion doctor was searched and more than 2,000 fetal remains were found. The home belonged to Dr. Ulrich Klopfer, who died earlier this month and used to run the Women's Pavilion Abortion Clinic, which shut down in 2016 here in South Bend. Klopfer's attorney informed police of the remains, and they found a total of 2,246 medically preserved fetal remains in his home. The coroner's office in Will County took the remains into custody. Investigators say there's no evidence that the medical procedures were done at the home. Of course, ABC 57 News will continue to stay on top of this breaking news story and bring you updates when they become available.
A prominent Democratic donor, Edward Buck, has been arrested and charged with running a drug den at his home in West Hollywood. The 65-year-old businessman is a well-known activist in California politics. He's donated to both Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton. Prosecutors, though, have accused him of injecting methamphetamine into a 37-year-old man who overdosed in September. The man lived, but Buck is facing charges of battery, administering the drug, and operating a drug den. Buck's home has been under scrutiny for drug use twice before. Last March, NBC News, citing the LA Sheriff's Office, reported that a man was found dead at Buck's residence of a methamphetamine overdose, and then in 2017, another man was found dead at the home of meth overdose. NBC said both incidents were ruled accidental. Los Angeles County District Attorney Jackie Lacey said in a statement, quote, "I remain deeply concerned for the safety of people whose life circumstances may make them more vulnerable to criminal predators." If convicted, Buck could face over 5 years in prison. His attorney, Seymour Amster, told Fox News that he would not comment on the arrest.
And welcome, I'm Gina Shakespeare. Thank you for joining me on another episode of Declassified. So Inspector General Horowitz is coming. We've all been waiting. The story is written by our Epoch Times contributor, Brian Cates. Now, if you're new to our channel, please consider subscribing and don't forget to hit notifications. The Epoch Times is the fastest growing independent news media in America. We are non-partisan and dedicated to truthful reporting. So John Solomon of The Hill recently reported that Department of Justice Inspector General Michael E. Horowitz has concluded his 1.5-year-long investigation into serious questions related to surveillance warrants granted by the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court in 2016. Now, Solomon told Fox News' Sean Hannity, that was back on August 22nd, that what I can report tonight, Sean, is that the IG has completed his work on the Pfizer abuse report. It's expected to be transmitted as early as next week to Attorney General William Barr, and that will begin a process of declassification. Solomon also said, I think we are still on track for that timeline. I've been saying on your show, mid-September to early October seems the most likely release point. It's going to be a tough report. So this report from the Office of the Inspector General, that's the OIG, has been delayed several times already, so it's understandable if people are skeptical of any time frame. But when that report is finally made public, I'll be making a beeline for the sections that deal with 3 specific people. Who are they? Number 1, former FBI agent Peter Strzok. Number 2, current FBI Special Agent Joseph Pienka, and number 3, Western Intelligence Asset Professor Joseph Mifsud. And we've spoken about all of these guys in depth on this channel. If you want to find out more, go back to our past episodes, because we've been talking about the Spygate saga for a long time now, and our reporting has been very accurate.
Every door to me, hide all the world from me, bar all the windows and shut out the light. Do what you want with me, hate me and laugh at me, darken my daytime and torture my night. If my life were important, I would ask, will I live or die? But I know the answer, life far from this world. Close every door to me, keep those I love from of mine, for I have been promised a land of my own. Just give me a number instead of my name. Forget all about me and let me decay. I do not matter, I'm only one person. Destroy me completely, then throw me away. If my life were important, I would ask, will I live or die? But I know the answers lie far from this world. Close every door to me, keep those I love from me. Children of Israel are never alone, for we know we shall find our own peace of mind. For we have been promised a land of
If you don't know who John Podesta is, do some research. Oh, absolutely disgusting.